Hello, everybody. Welcome back. Happy Thursday. Thank you again for choosing to join me on another week of the podcast. Ups and downs, per usual, throughout the past week. We did have a couple wins. My Sally Mae loans have been deferred while I'm in my master's program, so that was a battle, but that was that was a huge win to get. Obviously, that's what I was hoping for. One of my main goals into going into the master's program, is that I just obviously need a better job and needed more time to prepare and get ready for these repayments because, as I've said before, Sally Mae is not here to play. So I needed to give myself some breathing room, and luckily the deferment process went through. So that was a huge win. Another big win was I did have a successful second interview for a job. Finally, it is pretty damaging to apply to over 300 places and this to only be my second place that has reached out for an interview. Thankfully, it is a good company. Seems like a good role. Something to look forward to. Hopefully, getting back into the grind of things. They offered me the job on a like what they call a contingency hire. So I have to go through like drug test, background screening, going through all my previous forms of employment. They said it could take like a week or two. So I'm putting a big emphasis on contingency hire just because I know me and I know my life. And as much as I like to celebrate the wins, we also always have to be prepared for an outcome that's usually not favorable. So obviously I am staying hopeful, but I'm not patting myself on the back yet for getting the job because who knows what hiccup might come up along the way during that whole background stuff. So, but at least I got an offer. Even though it's a contingency offer, at least I got an offer, and if everything goes through well, I'll get to start work next month, which getting back into the routine of things would be nice. It would be nice to have health insurance as well. So those are all good things I would be looking forward to, and to be making a little bit more money than I am right now. Obviously, would be extremely nice. Something exciting coming up for me. Also, I know last week I mentioned a special guest for this week. Surprise, it's me. It's me you get to listen to again. Some scheduling things just didn't work out. But that person, we are planning a rescheduled date. I would love for him to be on again, and he will be very soon. Just didn't work out for this week, which is totally fine. Everyone's got things going on all the time, so I am looking forward and excited to having him back on though. So it is just me again. Yes. Just me you get to listen to again. But on the topic of that, a guest, something exciting is next week I have my first guest appearance on another podcast. And I am extremely excited. I'm very much looking forward to this. It is another podcaster in Cincinnati. We've been talking on social media quite a bit, and we finally got to nail down a date. And so I'm really excited to just like to learn from her. Obviously, everyone gets ideas and tips and help in whatever creative field you are in. So I'm excited to even just connect in person, ask what works for her, what doesn't work for her. If she needs any like type of direction in terms of tips for other forms of social media besides Instagram, because she kills the Instagram game, and that's definitely what I will be talking with her about. Is how to improve my Instagram quality as well. But to be on someone else's podcast, that is so exciting. I'm very much looking forward to that. And then hopefully we can get her on mine as well. If she has any crazy stories or experiences that she would love to share, I can't wait to have her on. But yeah, that is something I'm looking forward to. To me, that's a step in the right direction to be a guest on someone else's, to be in communication with other people in this community. She grew up in Cincinnati. She's very familiar with the area and everyone in it. So even just to get to network through her will be huge. So I'm very much looking forward to that. And I will share the details more on the podcast in that episode with you guys as it gets closer. We are recording next week. I don't quite know her schedule. I don't know if that means it'll be posted next week or the following week. But obviously, I will keep you guys updated on all of that episode. Fun. Yeah, it's going to be a good time, and I'm looking forward to that. For this week's episode, last week I did 3 crazy college stories, and I was thinking, you know what? Let's keep that ball rolling, but we're going to go back a few years, and I'm going to share with you guys 3 high school stories as well. Um, just as a reminder to all of my good friends who listen to the podcast, if I tell a college or high school story and you may think, oh, like you left out that detail, or, it went more like this, or it was actually this person, not this person, I just ask that you remember my memory for a lot of these stories is extremely limited based on my brain power at the time of when these stories and scenarios happened. A lot of these stories I'm retelling from what was told to me of what I did through Snapchat videos, Snapchat memories is really what I go off of in the little bits and pieces of my own memory. So I don't want you to think I'm ever lying or recreating something that didn't happen. I'm literally going, I go ahead and DM me and be like, hey, you didn't mention this, or you mentioned this, and I'm like, and I'll correct it in the next episode. I don't give a fuck. I'm telling it how I remember it, how I was told, and based on what is on my phone as evidence. Which, speaking of, I know last week I said I was going to post on Snapchat a video of the purse story of me running down the street with a purse that wasn't mine. If you didn't listen to last week's episode, I encourage you to do so to know what I'm talking about. But I decided not to post that on Snapchat because it had quite a few faces in it. I thought it was just me running down the street with the purse, but there were quite a few people. And again, as much as I love all my friends, out of respect to them, I'm never going to post anything that they wouldn't like posted to, I guess, quote, expose them in any way. I don't want to put anyone in a position like that. So I decided not to post it, but that also brings me back to the point I was just saying about my memory. I thought it was me and just one friend. Why was there like 5 of us in that video? First of all, you fuckers, all 5 of you fucking let me scheme a purse? What's going on there? I thought I just had one partner in crime in that scenario. Turns out I had multiple partners in crime helping me out with that. But yeah, I couldn't post it. Maybe one day. Maybe one day we'll get to the point. Or if I get better at editing, and I can put something on their faces, change their voices a little bit, because we're all fucking screaming and hollering in the video. But anyway, yeah, those are my 2 side notes, and why the purse snatching didn't get posted. All right, my 3 high school stories for you. And I don't know why, for me, high school stories seem more bad and extreme, even though if you know, you know, college I was way worse. Maybe it's because in high school it's like younger, so like 16, 17 doing these things, and it just seems like worse being that drunk and that young and doing those type of horrible things versus at least in college being 20, 21. I don't know. I don't know why I have like more anxiety telling my high school stories than my college ones. It's weird. It's weird. But these are 3 classics, I guess, so to speak. One of them being I was on the tennis team, varsity tennis team, my senior year of high school. I have played softball my entire life. Starting at 4 years old, I was in t-ball. I went to Little League. I played every summer. Then I played in middle school. Then I played in high school. Softball has always been a part of my life, but leaving junior year, I think I was just kind of like over it. I was like, not really my thing, not really my sport anymore. I guess impartial maybe to some coaching staff things that I wasn't too happy going into, but I just felt like it wasn't my sport anymore. And any athlete that knows that if you just stop putting your all into it, it just becomes like work. Like you don't want to do it anymore. And I didn't want to play softball anymore. But I still wanted to play a sport. I played a sport my entire life. So I switched to tennis. I got to be on doubles with one of my amazing best friends, which was pretty hilarious in general that we were a doubles team together. And let me just say, we fucking dominated. Thank you very much. We only lost one match or game. I forget what the fuck it's called. We might have lost two. It was either one or two. It was no more than two because we qualified for states. We were fucking, like I said, we were dominating that shit. Also, during senior year, I was dual enrolled in high school and the community college, meaning I had like 3 or 4 hours at the high school, then I was done at the high school for the day, and then once or twice a week I had a college course. Now, mind you, obviously college semesters end a lot sooner than high school, so there would be periods of weeks of time where I just had a couple hours of high school and then I got to do whatever. And getting to do whatever when you're a mischievous 16, 17-year-old is never great when you have a couple of free hours before I would have to return for tennis, either practice or a match, whatever, or a game. Fuck it. I'm just going to keep saying match because I fucking spent years doing this and I don't know the difference. But you know, sometimes, like I said before, my first job in high school, I worked at Arby's. So there would be times when I would literally go from like high school working at Arby's. I would have like my tennis stuff on underneath, work at Arby's for a couple hours, rip that shit off in the car, show up to tennis practice. Like sometimes I did have things in between, but there were a couple days where I had quite a gap in between school and in tennis afterwards. And this particular day, um, it was a match, and a couple other really good friends of mine. There's like this area out by where we live, like 15, 20 minutes away. It was just kind of like abandoned properties, and a couple of my friends and I went out there. They discovered this place. I only went to it a couple times, but this particular day, this is where we went. And I was like, yeah, we're gonna drink. I mean, we have a couple hours before we have to go back to our tennis match. Like, I'm down to drink. Couple seltzers, little bit of a pint I probably had that was probably fucking warm in my car because I can't hide anything in my house. My parents don't drink like that, so it's not like common for us to have something in there. So I always had to keep shit in my car. Like I said, it was probably warm, or if we had to buy it, I don't even know who would have gotten it for us, but sitting in this abandoned property, probably at like 1 p.m., out of school, out of high school, didn't have college classes that day, didn't have work, and I'm like slamming the drinks to the point where my other friend had to drive us back to the tennis match. And I arrive at this tennis match drunk. I wasn't annihilated, but I was drunk. And I remember the first thing I did walking onto the court, I took my racket and a tennis ball and I launched that bitch over the fence, across the court. I was like, my presence is gonna be known today. I'm fucking here and I'm ready to play. Like, let's. Hey, that kind of rhymes. Hmm, interesting. And I'm ready to fucking go. Obviously, my friends who were with me, who were also on the tennis team, were aware that I was drinking. I think one thing about me in high school and in college too, when it comes to adults, I can be like very good at acting. Even when I was like drinking with friends and my mom would call either to like check in, say goodnight or whatever, it's like a switch in the voice, switch in the tone, switch in how I'm acting. I'll sober up for a quick 2 minutes, real quick. You won't even be able to tell. And then it's back to me being crazy. And that's just how I was. So the adults watching, my coach maybe might not have known that I was a couple seltzers and a half a pint deep in, but probably a couple people on my team were well aware that I was drunk, just playing a tennis match. Also, the audacity I had in high school is kind of wild and crazy. I don't know why I lacked, like, I don't know where the switch came from between high school and college. I guess I could pinpoint a couple things of where my anxiety set in, but it's crazy to even say the story looking back because my parents, did what they could to come to all my sporting events. If they had to leave work early, do whatever. And so, like, both my parents I knew were going to be there. And I just apparently didn't care that I was going to be there too, but drunk. And and we won that match, by the way. That was not one of the two we lost. I think it kicked me into gear even more, fucking sweating out vodka on the tennis court, and we won. And I just, again, with the audacity, like, this is a school register or like a school facilitated event. I don't know the type of trouble I would have got into if at a school sporting event they found out that I was not only drunk, but obviously underage drinking and hammered at a tennis match. Yeah, that's one of my classic favorite stories. If we want to get into where the bad drinking habits started, it was it was definitely a peak in high school. Very, I just didn't care. And again, that comes with mental health too, absolutely, but I did not care about anything in high school. I cared in college, but I still just did bad shit. In high school, I truly did not give a fuck what happened, what I did, where I went, who I was with, what I was ingesting or doing. Um, which brings us to my second, arguably one of my notorious high school moments. Um, also, my first experience with Jungle Juice. I think Jungle Juice still haunts me to this day. If you don't know what Jungle Juice is, first of all, what the fuck? But second of all, it's basically when you pour in every alcohol you can find with every like strong flavored juice you can find and you mix it together so that it just tastes like juice, but in reality every sip is like 4 shots. And again, yes, the amount I drank in high school was ridiculous and a lot, but I think when your body is like new to all of this, you don't have a tolerance for it. So even like little amounts, like in high school, to me, a pint, like finishing a pint, I was like, fuck, like that was like, oh my god. In college, it was like a fifth plus. Get a half gallon on the holidays, like that shit was nothing. But in high school, being new to all of that, those little amounts added up pretty quickly, and that jungle juice tasted absolutely fantastic. There was a bunch of us at a friend's house. Wow, why do I feel like it was like holiday time? Maybe it wasn't holiday time. Maybe I'm just making that up. But I had way more than I needed to. Um, and there were a lot of us. There were a lot of us there. There were a lot of cars. This was the summer after high school, so I had my car at this point. My first car, a silver Ford Focus, like a 2001 old car that I saved up all my Arby's money for. It was probably like a $1,900 car that I saved up and got. And so everyone's like parked in the driveway and in the street, and there was an issue with where my car was. It was either behind someone that was trying to leave or someone was trying to come in. Something needed to be adjusted with my car. My friends had the ability to be able to tell that I would not be able to properly move my car by myself. And so another good friend of mine was like, "Hey, I'm gonna move your car for you." No stranger to people driving my car. I was I was usually kicked out of the driver's seat. I think I drove my own car less than a couple of my friends did those couple years that I had that car. But so she's like, I'm gonna move your car for you. Great. She starts to move my car. I I don't know my thought process at the time, obviously, of why I did this, but a very staple quote of mine happened at this moment. when as she was moving the car, I hopped in the back seat, so like the back seat of the driver's side, launched myself to like the back seat of the passenger side, whipped open the door again as she's driving. She probably didn't even have time to like put together what was happening as I was doing this. I pushed open the door and I said, "Let's fucking party." And you know what happened? We ended up hitting the mailbox actually, and my whole back door snapped backwards. And what I mean by that is if you were sitting in the passenger seat and you looked to your right, you would be looking through the passenger window and the back seat window. Like my door folded all the way over, just all the way. And I'm drunk as shit. So like I don't remember. I can like piece together little bits that I have of this memory, and I just remember again, it's so weird. Like I have such a shit memory, but there's like little brownout, blackout moments that just have stuck with me forever. And I just remember thinking that didn't happen. That wasn't my car. That wasn't real. I don't think anything was clicking together and registering that I just absolutely fucked my car. And a couple of the guys who were there were trying to like pull it back out and like kick it back in. They would like run and kick at the door to try to get it to bend back in. And it did. I don't remember who or how, but it ended up going back into place. But the gap where like the hinges are, where like would like normally open, was enormous, and it was like severely bent. Like I don't even properly know how to like describe it, but it was bent horrifically inward because obviously it bent outward, like it folded back. And I remember my friend telling me like this is one distinct story about this. I remember her saying like don't mention anything about the car going in. I think we were trying to keep it like as low key as possible. There was a lot of people there. I think there was something going on at the house. I can't fucking remember. Um and she was like, "Don't say anything about your car. Like it's fixed. We got it. We moved it. Don't talk about it. Like don't say anything." And apparently I went into the house with a shit ton of people like laughing like, "What happened to my car? What happened to my car? What happened to my car?" Um and it was, it was just like, shut up. Like, shut the fuck up. Like, we're not trying to draw attention to that. I ended up in the bathroom for a bit that night getting sick. Like, I was extremely, extremely sick. And again, with jungle juice, you could have 5 different alcohols mixed in there and drinking cup after cup after cup after cup. I think my body was just like, oh, yeah, we reached our point. Actually, that was one of like overall just it's a story to look back on now. Haha, funny. That was fucking 3 cars ago. That was 10 years ago. Whatever. I do remember solely, like, you know, those high school movie moments where it's like the main character has just like this embarrassing, horrific thing. That was like my moment. There were so many people there, and we have 2 high schools in our town. This was my first time, like, actually hanging out with some of the girls I was friends with at the high school I went to were friends with the girls at the other high school. This was like my first encounter, like getting to hang out and meet the other girls from our other high school, and they literally just saw me wreck my car, blackout drunk off fucking jungle juice. And I just remember being sick in the bathroom and waking up the next day and being like, that was actually what? Like, hello? Like, hi, yeah, that's me. Let's fucking party. That's like, that was like the quote for the what? Like, let's fucking party. Let's all fucking smash our doors. I just remember being like, oh my God, what a beautiful first impression on my end, honestly. But let me just say, like, I I still talk to those girls after, okay? They came up to Western quite a few times. Like they didn't They didn't shun me after that evening like they probably should have. They probably been like, "What the fuck, this crazy bitch? Like I'm never should be speaking to her again." It was whatever. We all make mistakes, right? It was my big high school mistake moment. Um what was wait, you guys know this was not the summer after high school. I believe this was winter. Fall, winter. Yeah, I'm taking that after high school statement back because I do remember when yearbook voting came out, I got voted party animal for the mock elections this year. And it was like the running joke that I should have taken the picture for the mock photo or for the mock elections. My photo should have been me next to my silver car. For those that knew would know. They would know what that meant. But then everyone was like, "No, that'll be drinking and driving." But yeah, so it actually wasn't after high school because I do remember those mock elections and I did get party animal that year. And that stayed true. And you know what else I'm hoping is true is junior year for mock elections. Me and a guy got voted most likely to become famous. And I need that to ring true as well. If that could start coming into effect as well as the party animal did, that would be great. Things take their time. I get it. But that was like my um my bad moment. I also remember having to drive home and first of all being hungover is absolute shit. I'm pretty sure I probably puked a couple times in that car. Who fucking knows on the way home that day. Um cuz I had to get to church with my parents that day. And I remember pulling in the driveway and walking into the house and immediately my parents were like, "What happened to your car? Like why is there a humongous dent?" And I was like, "Oh, well there were a lot of people over, like I think someone just might have backed into it," trying to come up with any possible excuse that I could. And my dad went out and looked at it and he's like, "Well, someone wouldn't have like ran into it. It's dented inward. Like no one would have, you can't dent inward by hitting a car." And I was like, "I don't know. I just woke up and it was like this. I don't know." So already my parents are like sketched and pissed and like freaked out because I'm sure what they thought happened is I was drunk driving my car and something happened, which I was drunk. I was in my car. I just wasn't driving and we were literally in a fucking driveway. I just made the horrible drunk mistake to open a door when it shouldn't have been open at all. And I should not have screamed, "Let's fucking party." But I will always remember that story. It's a very humbling story, especially like I said when it comes to first impressions. I was not always the greatest at these parties at giving first impressions and meeting new people because I was always way past my point of when I should have stopped drinking. But we all had those moments in high school. That was just mine that turned into my own property damage. That next morning, which I'm saving for a different episode to talk about this, my experience that next morning going to church that hungover, you guys will have to wait for another high school episode for that one. We're going to pause the story at that. We'll pause the story at that, but the church one is fucked. Again, like I said, I don't know why high school makes me so much more nervous. Like out of all the episodes, like if my parents potentially listen to, I do not want them to listen to this one. Not like this next story, like this whole episode. I don't know why the high school stories freak me out. But my last high school story, that was probably like one of the worst, the car ones. This one is a little shorter one to end with, but I think it's a classic story for the title "Sorry Mom." Of course, all of these stories in should involve apology to my parents. But this one specifically because this was New Year's Eve, and per usual, like thank God for me. Well, I don't know if I can say that, but find my friends. Like my parents didn't have iPhones at the time. Like that wasn't a thing. Just to track people like that. And I say thank God because I got away with a lot of shit. But if I was tracked, maybe I wouldn't gotten into half the shit I did. But I'm not speaking that into existence because I don't want to be tracked. But Um, New Year's Eve, my mom literally thought I was at a friend's house like a couple streets over. Me and a couple friends were driving out to a city that was like 45 minutes away, like late at night too. Like we got a late ass fucking start. And I'll get to how late it was in a second. So I go pick up my couple friends. We're headed out to this party, and I think that was just like such a common theme in high school. Just what's everyone doing? Where's everyone at? Cool, got a party located. You're 45 minutes away. No problem for us. We'll be there. We got our alcohol in the car. Again, we're 16, 17 years old. Alcohol in the car. We're ready to go to this party. And I don't know why it took us so long to get there. For one thing, we kept getting lost. And again, I don't know what the issue was with the maps, why we couldn't get an address. I just knew the city I was supposed to be heading to, which ended up being the wrong city. So I thought we were going to, let's say, destination A. We drive to destination A. Turns out it's supposed to be destination B, which we already drove 45 minutes to destination A. Now it's like 45 minutes to destination B. Like we were all over the place. And now it's already midnight. Like we're still in the car trying to get there, and it's midnight. I had to turn into, which I did not know was a church. I was turning into a parking lot to try to call my friend that I knew was at this party and be like, literally fucking send me an address, something. Like I can't get my shit together to figure out where you are. Turn into this church, and it's like a New Year's Eve wedding coming out. So me, which we didn't know, I'm trying to navigate traffic through this whole wedding party that's coming out to celebrate New Year's Eve, like swerving and driving. I'm like, oh my fucking god, oh my fucking god. Park really quick. This whole wedding's probably like, excuse me, what's this random silver bullet of a fucking car coming into our, our ceremony? Pull off to the side, type in the address, finally get it. Had to drive a little bit further, but then my parents every year, every single year, still to this day, no matter what I'm doing, they like to call me at midnight and wish me a happy new year. So I knew the call was coming. So as we were driving, I had to pull into like a rest stop, like a truck rest stop area, to answer the phone. Because if I didn't answer the phone, my mom would call and call and call and call until I answered because she would be worried that something was wrong. So I answered the phone and I was like, "Yeah, we're here. We made it. Happy New Year's. Ha ha ha." And I just remember wincing every time a semi like blew past us because obviously the friend's house that I said I was at was nowhere near like a truck area. So if my mom heard that through the phone, she would instantly be like, "Where the fuck are you?" So I just remember having to like mute the phone like really quick, like every time a semi like, "Oh, happy new year. Oh yeah, we're just having fun. We just watched the ball drop." Didn't see the ball drop. Didn't get a countdown. Didn't do anything to celebrate. I think we got to the party finally at like 12:30. Like we finally fucking got there, and we're probably only there for like an hour or two and then had to navigate our way back home after the party. But that's like one of my typical moments is I never ever 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 was where I said I was. Um the summer after high school, like just especially the summer after high school, I could say I was at one person's house and I'd be 2 hours away. I could say I'm at one person's house and my parents would be like, okay, like have a good night, and I'd be up until 6 a.m., get an hour of sleep, and then drive home and be like, oh, we just watched movies, da da da. Like the typical high school experience. You never are where you say you are. I just was probably doing worse things than I should have been doing as like a sneaky teenager. But yeah, those are three of my high school trauma stories. And like I said, I do think it just sounds worse because I was young. Like to me, the high school stories just are more severe than the college ones for me to retell. And I don't know why. Maybe that's because I haven't gotten into the full detail of all the college ones yet, but yeah, those high school ones, those ones will get me. I am gonna see if I can find. I know I have the yearbook photo of the me most likely to be famous, but I'll have to see if I can find a photo of my yearbook where I was voted party animal. Slightly iconic, but whatever. Anyways, I hope you guys have a great weekend, a great upcoming week. We're gonna keep the positive vibes rolling. That this job process goes well, that I can finally get back to some employment. that my first guest appearance goes well, that I'm super excited, like I said, to share more information on, and that things keep just heading in a positive direction for the rest of summer and the rest of the year, because as we know, I would absolutely love a shift in energy, and that's what we're hoping for. So anyway, you guys, I love you. Thank you. As always, thank you for the support. Thank you for listening or watching. If you're watching on YouTube, thank you. Thank you for following, liking, sharing any video that I post on any platform. Hope you guys get to do something fun this weekend. I hope you stay safe this weekend. Please, please stay safe. Don't follow in my 17-year-old footsteps. Don't open any car doors as they're moving. That's the life lesson to take from here. You can play tennis drunk. I don't give a fuck about that. Don't open any car doors while you're drunk. All right, you guys. I love you all. Thank you so much.